Hi, everyone. It's Tessa.
And Joe.
From the Unveiling Paradise podcast.
Tessa, summer is almost here, and so many of our listeners are about to have their epic destination wedding.
And we are so excited for you guys.
Before the big day, guys, we want you to make sure you listen to these 3 episodes.
Episode 62, Deep Diving Your Wedding Ceremony.
Episode 53, Questions Your Wedding Guests Will Ask.
And episode 31, the final countdown to your wedding day.
And if you're planning your wedding here in Hawaii, hit us up and ask us about our Unveiling Paradise podcast promo.
Happy planning.
Welcome, everyone, to the Unveiling Paradise podcast show. Hello, Tessa.
Hi, Joe.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am super good. We have a lot to talk about today. We're talking about weddings still, guys. Believe it or not. Today, we want to roll into this topic. We're talking about bridesmaids, groomsmen, your entourage. I think a lot of times choosing the right people for your wedding party really sets the tone of your day. Choosing the right people, the people that are going to hype you up, the people that are going to be supporting you throughout the whole wedding process are really important. That's the whole reason why you have bridesmaids and groomsmen.
And we have seen a ton of weddings, right? And we have seen some amazing, super supportive wedding parties. Again, bridesmaids, bridesmen, groomsmen. But we have also seen some less than amazing ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that safe to say?
Absolutely. The whole purpose of today's show is to really just take a deep dive into your wedding entourage, your wedding party, and kind of like talk about what are the roles, what are the expectations, why have a wedding party, how to choose who's in your wedding party, and then what if you make the wrong decision? Where can we go from there?
I think that's a great one to end on because, again, we have seen a lot of wedding parties who have maybe made less than ideal decisions.
Tessa, you and I have been at a ton of weddings, right? How often do you see it where there's just one bridesmaid or groomsman that's just causing unnecessary trouble or stress?
Definitely more than I want to, which is why I think today is a great topic to go over with all of our engaged couples.
Yeah, and when you think about the wedding party, like again, this is your squad, this is your crew. These are the people that are going to be helping support you on one of the biggest days of your life. Don't just go into this without like having thought through who are the right people, who are the wrong people, and who are going to be the people that'll still be in your life once you've gotten your photos from your photographer.
Yep.
All right, let's get started.
Welcome to Unveiling Paradise, your go-to destination wedding podcast. I'm Tessa, wedding planner and owner of Fred and Kate Events.
And I'm Joe, wedding and adventure photographer of Joseph Esser Photography. We are based in Hawaii, one of the biggest, most popular locations for destination weddings.
We want to share our real-life experiences with you, give you insight from a professional's perspective, and still make sure you're having fun in the process.
We're huge believers in the fact that planning a destination wedding can be one of the most amazing experiences, and we want to bring you along.
We're so excited to talk with you about weddings, Hawaii, and everything else under the sun.
So pack your bags and let's get started. Okay, welcome back to the show, everyone. So let's go through all this. We have a lot to talk about. What I want to do is just roll through what is a wedding party? What are the roles? What are the responsibilities? Let's take a stab at this. Here we go. Maid of honor, matron of honor, maid of honor, man of honor, best man, best woman. What is your role and what's your responsibility?
So that's basically your best friend, right? That is the person that is standing by your side, or not if you choose to have them sit. But they are there to be your biggest cheerleader, your biggest supporter. So whether they are, again, a maid of honor, man of honor, best man, best whatever it is, they are there to support you. Pre-wedding, they are there to help you plan the parties, be there financially, and just be there emotionally. On the wedding day, same thing. Emotionally, they are there to support you when you're stressing out, when you need to take a shot with someone, when you just need someone's hand to hold, when you're there to pack up your stuff at the end of the night. They are there for you from start to finish. And that truly is the role of the person that is closest to you, the best man, maid of honor, one of those roles.
If the bride asks you to hold your dress while you go pee,
you hold your dress.
That's the person, right?
Yeah, hold the dress. If they need you to bustle. If they want you to take that veil off, put it on, put your hair up, put your hair down. That is your go-to. That is your girl.
Love it. Okay, so yeah, you know who you can trust to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, Okay, next. Bridesmaids, bridesmen, groomsmen, groomswomen. Okay, what is that all about and what are their roles?
So again, they are similar to your best friends, but they're one step down. So they are your squad. They are your hype that day and through the planning process. If they're there with you for dress fittings, great. They should be the ones that are at your parties, right? If you're having a bachelorette, bachelor party, bridal shower, they should be there supporting, maybe financially, maybe not. The key is to have those conversations beforehand. So before they agree to be a part of your wedding party, you all have a conversation of what the expectation is. So whatever you want these people to be is what they are for you, right? Whether it is a lot or a little, or you just want them to stand there on your day and do nothing in advance, it's totally up to you. But set that expectation up front so they know.
And I love that we are now incorporating all these different, like, it's almost like wedding parties are now really mixed genders. So you always see groomswomen and bridesmen. Like, it's like, but who are those people that I just always think of it as like your hype squad. The people that you're like, hey, the dance floor is empty. Let's make it happen. Right? That's kind of the role.
Right. And I think the main thing to note, like you were saying, right, it's definitely a more mixed gender now. Like your best friends may not all be men or women. So why wouldn't you have the people that are closest to you, regardless of who they are, standing at your side?
Absolutely. Okay. There's a bunch of miscellaneous jobs that also fall into wedding party. I see this all the time. Flower girls, flower boys, the ring bearers or the ring security, right? And also I always see like the shot boys and, like, have you seen these where like the guys are, passing out shots as like the ceremony is about to start? Like, what is that all about?
So basically these are kind of the ancillary, right? So whether you have a kid that's tossing petals or blowing bubbles, or you have an adult man handing out shots or an adult throwing out petals, it's just that added part of your wedding day. So these miscellaneous roles, the expectation is not a lot beforehand. They're not there to support you. They're not necessarily there to be standing by your side, but they are there for the cuteness, the entertainment. I think just something on your wedding day to add a little extra. Traditionally, you have the ring bearers, the flower girls. This is just a fun modern twist on that.
So it's more just like for photos too. Like, I love the flower grannies.
Those are the cutest. Like, I love the flower grannies.
They don't have anything to do but just throw some flowers, and it's super cute for photos. And you're right, it does set the vibe. It sets the tone. It gets, I think everybody excited for the ceremony.
Exactly.
What about dogs, Tessa? Like, do they get invited as a formal like role as part of the wedding party, or?
I've seen the dogs with everything. So they've had flowers. I've had dogs with shots. I've had dogs with rings. So
dogs in tuxedos.
I love the dogs in tuxedos. So dogs can be interchanged. I'm wondering if we could do like a cat or a mongoose.
No, cats are not cool. Like, they're
fish
so lame.
swimming down the aisle.
Cats are not going to walk down the aisle. They're going to go.
The cat's going to take the ring and run. Have you seen the beer mule?
What is that?
There's a mule that walks around the ceremony with beer on its back. And so it basically hands out beers to all of your guests.
Poops over on the...
But with beer.
With beer. Okay, I like that. But I guess if you're talking about, these are ancillary, right? These are just for fun, like little accent pieces, but not like actually
We're not
maybe
asking
a real
the
role.
mule to plan the bridal shower.
Right. Okay, perfect. All right, moving along. Okay, so the next big question for me then is, why have a wedding party? Like, what is the whole point of it all?
Well, I think we both know weddings are a lot of work, right? And
Sure.
I think having that extra support throughout the planning process, another set of eyes on your decor, another person to help manage your family, another person to cry with, just having that extra support is a huge deal for couples, brides, grooms, and everyone in between. So having a wedding party, it's basically, it's the same group of friends that you have, but it's just kind of that you have a set designated role of, now you have to help me with my wedding too. And weddings are stressful. So if you are an introvert and having all these people around, that person can kind of help filter. If you are an extrovert, having all those people there, again, it's nice to have that group of people to make these decisions together. You and your partner are going to spend a lot of time together, make a lot of decisions together. It's nice to have kind of that external squad for their thoughts and opinions and feedback as well.
So it seems like you're saying that you should always have a wedding party.
No, I'm definitely not saying that everyone should have a wedding party. I didn't have a wedding party. And for the reason of, I like my peace. I like my time by myself. And so having a wedding party is great for some people, but I liked having that time by myself. One of the cons of having a wedding party is it can be, if you are an introvert, it can be really overwhelming to be around all those people all day, all the time. Having all of those external opinions, I didn't want it. I don't think everybody wants it. Some do. It can be a lot if you don't want those opinions, if you don't want people around you all the time.
Okay, that's great and all. But like you do need people around you. Like there's some things you can't do by yourself. You can't zip yourself and lace yourself and button yourself and whatever.
Were you lacing and buttoning
yourself into a dress? I know I couldn't do that, for lots of reasons. But like I think that's something that you have a need for, just because you want to be by yourself, you still need help, right? You need somebody helping you.
So you're talking about just straight logistics, just having someone get you in your dress, grab you some water, fix your hair if it's out of place, just logistically having someone there to help you look good.
Exactly.
I got you. Having a large wedding party costs money. If you are that kind of person where you have a wedding party, at the very bare minimum, you want to get them a little thank you gift. At the maximum, you may be buying their dresses, you may be paying for hair and makeup, their suits. It costs a lot of money. If you're working on a budget and if you're trying to be very conscious of your money, having a wedding party costs more money.
Tessa, guess
Joe.
what?
Yes.
Weddings cost money.
What?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to spend money. If you're planning a wedding, I think it's part of the cost. Here's what I think, and here is why I think, one of the big pros of having a wedding party and having at least a bridesmaid or groomsman or at least a best man or a maid of honor or whatever, they are there to support you, just to be a second set of eyes. Do you have the rings? Do you have your vows? There's a weird hair sticking out on the back of your head. You have to have somebody doing that. Yes, there's costs, but it's really important to have somebody there supporting you.
It sounds like you're still talking about logistics. So having someone tell you that there's, some hair out of place or, whatnot, I think it still comes down to the fact that sometimes having a wedding party can be a lot of drama. Maybe there's hurt feelings. Maybe, your bridesmaids are trying to get you drunk and you're like, wow, I'm turning red and splotchy on my wedding day. For me, I think sometimes having a wedding party, whether it be groomsmen or bridesmaids or bridesmen or groomswomen, can be a lot of drama that you don't necessarily want or need on your wedding day.
Okay, so you're saying, really, before you even think, feeling the pressure of having a wedding party, do you really have that group of friends that are going to be there and supporting you? Is it going to create more drama than it is going to create, a supportive environment? Okay, and I see that happening a lot. I see a lot of weddings now where they don't have a best man, maid of honor. And, so I can see that you just have to find somebody, if it's your wedding planner, your photographer, to help you lace you into the dress. That's awkward. Find somebody.
It can also be your mom.
Yeah.
Or you can also have your sister, your best friend. Someone can help you. They don't have to be titled as a maid of honor. They don't have to be titled as your best man. They're there. They're still your family. They're still your friends. And I think that's kind of a popular trend right now where a lot of couples are just having their friends hang out with them, but not asking them to do anything on their wedding day. They want them to just enjoy and spend time with them versus you have jobs, here are your roles, stay sober because we have work to do.
Okay, cool. So you didn't have a wedding party. I did. My wedding was better than yours. Okay, let's move on to this next thing. I'm not sure if you have the space to even share any advice on this because you never had a wedding party, but how do you choose your wedding party, Tessa?
Listen, I am a wedding planner, so I've seen a lot of choosing happening, and I've seen people choose the right, and I've seen people choose the wrong.
So what is your thoughts on how do you choose the right people? What are the bare minimums when you're choosing?
Bare minimum is they have to want to do it. That is the very bare minimum. I have seen some best man, maid of honor people who have been kicking and screaming, not wanting to do it, but agreeing because they are siblings or because they felt pressured. And that's not fun. The last thing you want is someone who's feeling obligated or forced to do this job for you. At the end of the day, for me, the best people that are in the wedding party, the people that really always show up at the end are the ones that always put you first. And I know that sounds so basic, but it really, I have had sisters who are, gave birth 2 weeks before and are like nursing their babies, but they're like, I got this. Like, this is my sister. She is getting married. It is not about me. Like, I will throw my baby to my husband if I have to and focus on her. To me, those are the people, your ride or dies, that are going to make your wedding day amazing. They're not going to try to get you drunk before your wedding day. They're not going to try to, make you look silly or think that it's funny that your dress doesn't fit you well. Like, they're going to do everything they can to make you look and feel the best on your wedding day. And those are the people who are always going to be the best people standing by your side on the wedding. I love wedding parties like that.
And it's really interesting because I think we have had our lion's share of weddings where, the couple just has kind of a dud for like a best man or maid of honor. Like, you don't want somebody who's just there. You want somebody that, I think, especially in those big roles, they're your hype squad. They're your support network. I also find a lot of times people feel pressure to choose the same number of people in their wedding party. So if like the bride has 4, the groom has to have 4, but he might only have like 2 people that are actually really awesome, and the other 2 are kind of duds.
So I have a funny story. The high school that I went to, a lot of guys tend to have these really big groups of friends, and they stay friends forever. So every time I have one of these couples that went to this school, the bride will often have maybe, 3 to 4 bridesmaids, and the guy will have like 12 groomsmen almost every single time. Like, it's this big group of friends. They can't split it up. So there will always be 3 or 4 times more the amount of groomsmen than bridesmaids. I've had a couple times where the bride tried to match that, but now you're literally pulling like the random checkout girl at Whole Foods, your mom's neighbor that she grew up with in 3rd grade. Like, you're just pulling anyone out of a hat.
The male lady.
And you have no connection with them, you know? So I think having an uneven number is totally fine. For photos, we can always make it look good. In terms of standing up at the altar, again, like, I've had wedding parties where they've sat instead of standing. It's totally up to you, but trying to match a number just to make it even will often end up with a wedding party that's not there for you.
Yeah, and I feel like, that's one of those things that kind of leads into this other point, choosing out of obligation. So if it's like you're choosing to match those numbers, or you're choosing because this person asked you to be their best man or maid of honor, like feeling that obligation when actually maybe they're not a great fit for you.
I did a wedding once where the bride asked the groom's sister to be in her wedding party, because it was, again, out of obligation. She wanted to have her welcome into her life. And this sister really, didn't fit the vibe of the wedding. She, I think she was happy that they were getting married, but she didn't want her hair and makeup done with everybody else. She came late. She wanted to wear a different dress than everybody else. Her hair and makeup looked very different and washed out. So she didn't look consistent in the photos. She didn't want to give a speech. She didn't really want to participate in all of the bridal shower games or any of the other things. So again, it was that weird obligation where she really didn't want to be in there. I don't think the bride necessarily wanted to ask her, and I don't think she wanted to accept. But it was obligation, So I think a lot of times having that conversation up front is, do we want to do this? Like, does this make the most sense? Is this going to fit? Is she a ride or die? If not, don't ask. It's okay.
Okay, I have something very awkward to ask you then.
Yeah.
What do you do if you've chosen the wrong person? You're halfway into it. You're like, you have that person who's like, I don't really want to do anything. I don't want to do a speech. I don't want to plan a bachelor or bachelorette party. Is there a polite way to ask them to step out of that role?
So, Joe, here's the tricky thing. I have seen wedding parties where the day after the wedding, they have stopped talking and have never spoken since. Mm-hmm. And it happens. If you're asking these people, these are your closest friends or family, you have an obligation, or at least an expectation, if you have a problem during the planning process, to say something. Have that conversation. If you feel like they're not able to help you or give you what you want, I think both of you owe it to each other to have that conversation to try to salvage the relationship.
What about if it happens on your wedding day where someone is just trying to steal the spotlight or is just derailing all of your plans? Like, oh, that dress makes you look fat. Like, on your wedding day, that's the last thing you want to hear. Can you pivot at that last point? I know we've had weddings that like this actually happens. And like, you know what, you got to get out of here.
I mean, I think at that point, they're dead to me, right? There's nothing you can do. If they have a bad attitude on your wedding day, you just have to let it go, deal with it, just try to ignore it. And it's up to you post-wedding whether or not you want to continue that friendship. For me, like I said, I know so many couples where after the wedding day, true colors come out and they never talk again. It happens more than you think. Okay, so, I had a couple and they had a larger wedding party. I'd say maybe 6 or 7 on each side. They had we had our monthly check-in and we were kind of talking and they said, we have this kind of awkward problem. So basically it was one of their groomsmen and he was basically kind of making the wedding about himself. He had a new outfit. He wanted to kind of show off. He didn't want to match with the groomsmen.
So they were just all wearing like the same, like exact identical outfit?
Yeah. And he wanted to wear something a little different to stand out. Uh-huh. And I guess the couple was kind of like, well, why? Like, can you just conform and dress like the rest of them? And he was like, no, like, I love this outfit. I want to wear this outfit. And they kind of were like, okay. Long story short, right? The groom and the bride, we were talking and they were like, we want to kick him out. What do you think we should do? Should we kick him out? Number one, it comes down to you. Are you willing to lose this friendship over this decision? And I think a lot of times it's just understanding throughout the planning process, you can go back and forth. You're going to have, again, friends that kind of make it about them. Looking back, is that the kind of friend they are? Is it always about them? And if so, have you always put up with that? Is that something you want to put up with on your wedding day? If this is the time you're going to tell them no, are you okay losing that friendship?
So what did they do?
So they ended up kicking him out. And so at first, he was not coming to the wedding. He was totally done. And this was about 3 months before the wedding, maybe 4 months. 2 weeks before the wedding, they were like, we reconciled. We had a talk and he's coming. He's not in the wedding party, but he is going to attend. We've worked it out. So for me, that's the happiest ending in this outcome. They were able to work out their friendship. That's my fear. When we get into these wedding parties and these hot conversations, a lot of times there's emotions. It's your wedding day. You're spending a lot of money. There's a lot going on in your head. And you just cut people without any afterthought. I really like that this couple sat down with this guy, had this conversation, and were able to kind of reconcile a little after the fact.
I think that's kind of everyone's fear at a wedding too, is like you have somebody that's trying to steal your thunder. Like you hear about like moms that come in like these white wedding gowns or whatever. Like you don't want that. You don't want to be competing with your wedding party for that attention. It should be about you. The other thing that I see happen, and this has actually happened recently for me too, where the bride had chosen her sister to be the maid of honor. And she takes that job as an open invitation to criticize everything, and so like on the wedding day, she's like, oh, I don't like that makeup. Let's try this, and like the bride was really happy with how everything looked, but she kept on listening to her sister. She wasn't being supportive. She was basically taking it as her job to just be critical of her sister. Like not the person you want to have on your wedding.
No, definitely. That person would be cut. What about, I guess my next question for you is maybe they were a good planning partner, right? Planning throughout the process. But what if now your maid of honor's boyfriend proposes to her?
Oh,
is she dead to you? Do we cut them or is she okay?
She proposes at the wedding, or
her boyfriend proposes at the wedding. So now he has taken your thunder, but she's done nothing. But now she has a ring and she's flashing it to everyone.
It happens. I mean, these things happen. People get excited about weddings and they're like, oh, maybe I'll get married too.
So don't cut her.
Can we get a coupon 2 for 1? But yeah, I mean, I think again, like if you are asked to be in someone's wedding party, if you are asking someone to be in your wedding party, it is a big responsibility. You want to find those people that are there to solely support you. They're not distracted by their own weddings and, like all these things. So, I mean, I think if you take stock of who those friends or family members are, who are going to be the ones that are going to be excited? Those are the people you want to have. The people that are, going to be the distractors, the people who want all the attention. I would probably be a horrible bridesmaid. I like the attention.
I would not have you as my bridesmaid. You would try to take all of the attention.
But no one's ever asked me to be a bridesmaid, so maybe that's why. But you just want to think through, like, who are those people? And then also the financial stuff. I know we talked about this, but like there is a financial cost involved in playing that role. You know, like if you have a friend who's struggling, don't ask them to do that.
Or, if you really want this person to be in your wedding party and they're struggling financially, then it's just having that conversation and saying, hey, listen, I know that you are struggling, but you are my best friend. Like, I'm going to cover your cost. And it's just setting those expectations up front so they know what to expect.
Yep. Well, this is kind of an interesting episode because I think we started out the show talking about like, what are the responsibilities of like a wedding party? And like, now it's kind of like, do we throw this whole thing out? Do we actually have a wedding party or not? I think this is always the question we should start out with. And then we can go into that open, honest conversation about what are we asking people to actually do for us? And there's nothing unexpected that happens along the way. And then we're setting ourselves up for success.
For sure. And again, the way that I like to see this is, you're going to be engaged, say, for a year. You and your partner are going into this relationship. You with your friends, same thing. You are starting a new relationship together. The expectations have to be set again. What do you want from them? Do you want them to be in this wedding party? What does this look like? Just like everything else, right? It's a year-long commitment with you, with your partner, with your squad. Like, we just have to make sure that we have clear, defined expectations and roles, and everybody will be good.
All right. And with that, happy planning, guys, and we'll catch you guys on another show.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Unveiling Paradise.
If you enjoy our show, please follow us and rate us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It would really mean a lot.
And don't forget to also get on our mailing list and follow us on Instagram. Just do it already.
Until next time, this is Tessa.
And this is Joe.
And don't forget, your happily ever after
is just a plane ride away.